I'm about to make a really long video for you folks. I'm about to break down for y'all all of the different coaches that are moving around, those that have been fired, those that have been hired. We're going to cover it all. Why? Because you need to know what's going on when it comes to college football. And hey, one of my two favorite sports to cover is college football and, well, women's gymnastics. But college football is my first love. I spend a lot of time on college football. I really do. Watch way too much of it. I love me this sport. I don't like the NFL. I like college football. Now, this coaching carousel, hey, I'm going to cover it. I'm going to cover every team that's hired and fired and gotten nuts and all that. And some of it might surprise you because you're going to be going, why is somebody talking about this? Well, every team makes a difference. Every coach makes a difference. And I'm not going to necessarily grade on each one of these hires. I'm just going to say, hey, look, this probably is a good one. This is probably a bad one. Those kinds of things. But we've got to get into it. We've got to see what's going on because if we don't cover it, the next year we're going to be going, well, why is this? Why are we expecting so much from this? I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to cover group of five. I'm going to cover the power four. Well, group of six now, pardon me, because some of this is going to change around. We're going to cover it all because you need to know seriously. Now, yes, we're going to cover Penn State, even though they haven't hired anybody. That's because, well, that dumpster fire of a search is just hilarious. But I'm also going to cover everything from Kent State to Stanford to all those that aren't being covered on the big time stuff. I'm going to cover those as well. Why? Because some of these may make a difference when you're watching the games next year. If you like college football, if you like G5 football, if you like Power 4 football, if you just love college football, hit like, hit subscribe. I covered this. This is one of the two sports that I cover on this channel. And let me tell you something. I do cover other college sports, but college football, even during the summer, I'm going to be covering college football. So hit like and subscribe. Also, I got a link tree down below. It's got a link to all my other stuff. Haven't done as much on the other stuff, but hey, I also got a Patreon there. Help me out. Now, let's get into this game, or this story. General Robert Neyland, legendary head coach from the University of Tennessee, Army general, so he is actually a general. He wasn't just called that. Had 7 maxims. Here's the two that you should pay attention to. The team that makes the fewest mistakes will win. The same goes in life. You're going to make mistakes. Make fewer of them and you'll win far better. Play for and make the breaks. When one comes your way, score. That goes for life as well. Now, the first team that we're going to cover, Kent State. I'm not going to get real far into it. Kenny Burns was fired April 15th. Went 1-23 in 2 seasons, but also was fired for multiple violations of university policies, including how he used a personal credit card. He was placed on administrative leave with pay March 27th, a couple of days before the start of spring practice. Former offensive coordinator Mark Carney was named interim coach for the 2025 season and promoted to full-time head coach when the Golden Flashes reached 3-5 record, 2-2 in the MAC. So he was promoted from interim on October 30th. Now, Mark Carney played quarterback at Fordham, was a student assistant there, went to Richmond, then to Bowling Green, Baldwin Wallace, Virginia State, Charlotte, then Kent State. Guys, now 5-7. They beat this year Merrimack. Well, of course they're going to beat Merrimack, hopefully. Hopefully they're going to beat Merrimack. Last year they couldn't do that. They beat UMass pretty convincingly. They beat Bowling Green in a really close game. They beat Akron in an overtime close game. And they just beat Northern Illinois in a close game. They were somewhat competitive in a lot of games. Other games, not so much. They played a close one to Buffalo, even though they lost that one. They just look like they need to get better. But I mean, you look at last year, Burns went 1-23. Last year he was 0-12. They lost to everybody last year. Even St. Francis beat them 23-17. So Burns brought a better look to this team. And hey, the Golden Flashes need to be glad that they got somebody like somebody like Carney. He's going to make them competitive again. Might get them to a bowl game even. Let's talk Virginia Tech. Now, Brent Pry went 16-24 at Virginia Tech. The Hokies do not like being that far down. I mean, this season they lost to South Carolina. Okay, no big deal. Lost to Vandy. Yeah, no big deal. And then they lost to Old Dominion. And they finally said, Brent Pry, you're out. So they bring in now James Franklin. 3 seasons at Vandy. He went 24-15, won 2 bowl games, went 2 9-4 seasons, was ranked. Until Clark Lee got there, they weren't talking like this. He gets to the Penn State, Nittany Lions. He goes 104-45. They get to the college football playoffs. They did a lot of good there. And in all honesty, I'm looking at what's going on at Penn State right now. I think, in all honesty, looking at how badly that they're doing everything, this shows what was going on behind the scenes. And them getting rid of James Franklin just shows how idiotic that athletic department is. Look to Virginia Tech being in a bowl game every year. After, I don't know what's going to happen next season, but after next season, look to them to be in a bowl game every year. Look to them being in contention for the college football playoff. Not every year, but quite a bit. Just off of the coaching. Yes, Brent Pry came from Penn State, came from Vandy, was defensive coordinator to James Franklin. But let me tell you something, James Franklin is a different beast. He just needs to get his people in place that he wants and look at the scene for recruiting, NIL, and all of that. Virginia Tech's about to be going back to the Beamer days of being dangerous for the ACC. Look, I'm a Cowboys fan. Oklahoma State Cowboys, my third favorite team of all time. I mean, Mike Gundy, what he did there from 2005 until this year, the man went 170 wins, 90 losses. The man went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 bowl games. He went to three BCS games. 2 Fiesta, 1 Sugar Bowl. He went from being one of the most consistent coaches to, unfortunately, I mean, he won a conference title, won 3 division titles, well, 4 technically. The man had an amazing go of it. He didn't understand NIL. So many of these older coaches, unfortunately, don't understand NIL. So they brought in Eric Morse, who is considered one of the best quarterbacks whisperers of all time. He won 2 conference titles at Incarnate Word. He coached. I mean, he coached at Washington State as QB coach, Texas Tech, Washington State, Houston. I mean, this guy knows that area of the Big 12. So it's not like he doesn't fit into the Big 12. Then you throw in the fact of that he took North Texas 5-7, 6-7 now, and took them last year to the First Responder Bowl. This year at North Texas, if he can win this conference title game, more than likely, because he's 11-1, and the only team that beat them was at the time a really good South Florida team, still a really good South Florida team. If he wins this conference title, they could go to the college football playoff. 11, they'd be 12-1 going into the college football playoff. If they want him to stick around until they find out. Don't think that he won't get North Texas that win. Eric Morris is an amazing hire. I'm sad to see Mike Gundy go. As a longtime Oklahoma State fan, someone who's been watching them since the early 90s, I am sad to see Mike Gundy go, but he needs to get back into a position where he's not having to deal with the NILs quite so much. That's where the problem is. Modern coaching needs younger guys, it looks like. So he had to go. Now we've got Eric Morris. I'm excited. Now, Colorado State is an unusual situation. I'll be perfectly honest with you. They, I looked at their schedule and I went, low key, had the right opportunity to win the Mountain West title game. They had a shot at being able to make it and then winning it. But no, they went 2-10. Jay Norvell, he went 33-26 at Nevada. Built up Colorado State to last season. They went 8-5 last season. Looking at what they did, looking at everything, they should have gone. This season should have been a Mountain West title contention season. But instead, he went 2-5. They fired him. And so Colorado State has brought in UConn's head coach, Jim Elmora. Now, this is a guy that, hey, he knows how to turn a team into a team that they should be looking at possible recruits for the NFL. He went 27-23 at UConn. Went 6-7, 3-9. Has already played. They're going to a bowl game this season, so he's gotten them in 4 seasons, 3 bowl games. Now, he was at UCLA as the head coach for while they were in the Pac-12. He went 46-30 there. His last 2 seasons is he just somehow destroyed that team. Expect Colorado State to be able to go to bowl games soon. Maybe not next season, depending on how Norvell left that team. But Colorado State will have winning seasons under Mora. I'm not saying that they're going to be consistently in bowl games, but he's going to do what he needs to do to recruit and bring in via NIL folks that could go to the NFL. You're going to see guys looking at his recruits and going, hey, look what they're doing there. Let's recruit them let's offer them more NIL and bring them to our schools. This is the situation that you're going to see with Mora. He's not going to have the most consistent coaching record, but he is I can almost see him having a better coaching situation than Norvell. And it's not like Norvell didn't know about the pros. I just don't think this season was just such a garbage season with all the expectations on them. Hey, Colorado State Rams possibly got a better coach now. Not saying that they did, but it looks like they can say they got a better coach. Okay, Stanford let go of Troy Taylor, who went 6-18 in 2 seasons. He was fired March 25th. They had an interim head coach this year. Taylor was dismissed a week after ESPN reported that 2 outside firms had found he bullied and belittled female athletic staffers. Thought to have an NCAA compliance officer removed after she warned him of rule violations and repeatedly made inappropriate comments to another woman after her appearance. Veteran NFL coach Frank Reich was hired as interim coach, with Stanford conducting a search for a replacement following this season. Okay, so they brought in Tabitha Pritchard, who was the QB coach at Washington Commanders, but he spent from 2011 to 2022 at Stanford. Actually, 2010 to 2022 at Stanford as a graduate assistant, uh, defensive analyst, running backs coach, QB, wide receiver, offensive coordinator, QB. This guy knows pros. He knows Stanford, so he's going to be able to recruit. And they got rid of somebody who, in all honesty, was not good. And then you take a look at what they did this season. They were 4-8. They lost to Hawaii at Hawaii. They lost to BYU at BYU. They beat Boston College. Woohoo! They beat San Jose State in a close one. That was almost a loss. Uh, they beat Cal. Okay, that was a convincing win. But Stanford has been nothing. Travis Pritchard doesn't have any kind of problems around him, not to mention he's a Stanford guy. Probably the best hire that you can do, especially considering Stanford is not as caring about college football as a lot of other schools. I mean, Taylor looked like a good hire. He went 30-8 at Sacramento State. Sac State there won 3 conference titles, made it into second round or the quarterfinal all 3 years. So he looked like a good hire. Then he went 6-18. Plus, he was doing what he was doing with women. That okay, get rid of him. Now you've got a guy who doesn't have controversy around him and looks like a solid coach. He's probably going to make them competitive now in the ACC. I mean, seriously, how much worse can you get at this point? Arkansas is, I don't know. That's a dumpster fire of a situation. Pittman's a nice guy. I don't think he understood NIL all that well. I really don't. But he went 32-34. Took them to 3 bowl games. Uh, I'm looking at this. He was not competitive except for when he one season he went 9-4. But yeah, he took them to 3 bowl games. I don't think that he was really all that well. And then he went 2-3 this season. They beat Alabama A&M, Arkansas State, and then nothing. They lost in a heartbreaker at Memphis to Memphis. The Notre Dame game was just crap. They lost in a close one against Tennessee, but that wasn't under Pittman. That was under Petrino. I'm looking at this Ryan Silverfield hire. He's gone 50-25 at Memphis. He followed the guidelines of what they already were. Past or last 2023 and 2024, he went 10-3 and 11-2. He took them to multiple bowl games. He, he's kept them in the mix a lot of times. But in all honesty, I this season was weird, and I'll be honest with you. I can see him keeping Arkansas in bowl contention, in decent bowls. I don't see him able to get them into college football playoff territory anytime soon. And in all honesty, I don't know if he will be able to get into contention. Not just because of money, but because I don't know if he's there. Is he going to be able to produce NFL ready players? Yes. He's a young enough head coach that I think that he understands NIL. He had that at Memphis. I just don't know. This is a meh hiring. Silverfield's a good coach, don't get me wrong. I think he's far better for a team like Memphis than he is for Arkansas. But I think what he's going to do at Arkansas is turn them into a dangerous team that will be in the hunt for a bowl game every year. I don't see him getting to a conference championship, but he could surprise me. I could be totally wrong, but I don't know if he's ready for that SEC heat just yet. Now let's talk about Auburn. Auburn is quite literally one of the toughest schools to be at. On top of the fact of that you have one of the most fanatical fan bases of all time. I mean, Alabama football, Alabama, Auburn, South Alabama, all the folks that are in Alabama, even UAB fans can get very fanatical. Hugh Freeze, who overall is an amazing coach, but at the same time not not one of the best coaches out there, went 20-5 at Lambeth. Won a division title, won a conference title, went to Arkansas State, won a conference title, but Arkansas State at one time was set up as a resume builder. Ole Miss, he went 12-25. He had a 10-3 season, went to two different BCS games. You know, I mean, you're looking at this at his record 12-25, just wow. Um, went to Liberty, went 34-15, took him to four bowl games all year, every year, but still, he only took Auburn to one bowl game. This year they're 4-5. DJ Durkin is the best looking guy on this season. Not to mention Hugh Freeze, the whole cancer situation, but they bring in Alex Golish, who is keeping DJ Durkin. Now I'm a huge fan of Alex Golish. I really am. I am a massive fan of Alex Golish. What he's done at South Florida took him two 7-6 seasons, and then this year turned them into a powerhouse. Yeah, they went 9-3, but they were able to go to the swamp and beat Florida. They were giving fits to Alabama. And this is at South Florida. And I'm going to cover, South Florida's new coach here in a minute. But honestly, it's an inspired hire. He does a variation of the Baylor beer because of his time with Josh Heupel. He's a tight ends coach that went to OC under Heupel at Tennessee, became the offensive coordinator, he at Tennessee. They did better under him as the offensive coordinator than anybody else. He did okay at Illinois, did okay at Toledo, Northern Illinois, student assistant at Ohio State. That's his alma mater. And he's somebody who is just a good coach, and you want to see what he can do with Auburn money and a chance at the big highlight. And he's somebody that can handle that. I can't wait to see what he does there. I really can't. Let's talk some Florida Gators. Now, yes, I'm a Gator hater in football. I love me some women's gymnastics at Florida. Anya Pilgrim is my favorite Gator when it comes to women's gymnastics. But Billy Napier did some good things at Louisiana. Under the Raging Cajuns, had two conference titles, two conference titles, two division titles, technically four division titles. He gets to Florida. Last year went 8-5. DJ Lagway went all out last year. This year though, they went 4-8. He beat Long Island University, Texas in a stunner in the swamp, Mississippi State beat them in a close one, and then the interim coach somehow trounced Florida State. They lost in a close one to South Florida. LSU, that game we're not even talking about, and the Miami game that was just idiotic. But now they're bringing in John Summerall, who at Troy won two conference titles, went 12-2, 11-2, went 23-4 in the Sun Belt Conference. Then he moves over to the American under Tulane, and I want mind you, he won two conference titles there, went to two bowl games, gets to Tulane 9-5, 10-2, building the team up. They're in the conference title a second year. They lost to a good Army team. This is a guy that, he spent time at Tulane, spent time at Kentucky, San Diego. So he's got pro experience. John Summerall is a good coach. He knows how to build a program. I get, I see him having the passion for Florida. I really do. I see him having the passion for Florida. Do I see him being able to win conference title there? I don't know. With the money that Florida has, with who they have to play, I don't know. But I think he's going to turn them into a scary team. And he's going to have the passion for it. Plus, Spurrier, Meyer, these guys have said that they like him. He's not a Sunbelt Billy. In all honesty, he's somebody who has proven in two different conferences that he can, in just a couple of seasons, he can play at the highest level. I don't think he's going to have massive success right away, but start seeing them in bowl games soon and start seeing teams not wanting to play Florida pretty soon. This is a good hire right here. Very good hire. Let's talk some LSU. Brian Kelly, who has two national championships under his belt. Grand Valley State, he's got two of them. He's also got multiple conference championships in Division Two. Got a MAC conference championship. Got two Big East conference championships with Cincinnati. Notre Dame, he's got a division title when they spent their 1 year in the ACC. Let's not even talk about that. That was just some stupidity. I mean, he went 92-39 at Notre Dame, went 34-6 at Cincinnati. The man overall's record is 297-109 with two ties. Man's got a great coaching thing under his belt. The man is a winner, but he wasn't enough of a winner for LSU. I mean, this season, he beat a bad but then well ranked Clemson team, beat Louisiana Tech, beat Florida, beat Southeast Louisiana, then lost in a close one to Ole Miss, beat South Carolina, then lost. You're looking at this record. They went 7-5 this year. They got rid of him at 5-3. So he was a winning coach. I just they got rid of him the night after LSU's third loss against a exceedingly good Texas A&M team. They were expecting him to get a national title in there. I'll be perfectly honest with you. What they hired in his place, Lane Kiffin went 28-15 at USC. He went 7-6 at Tennessee. Then went to Florida Atlantic after getting rehabilitated under Saban. Went to Florida Atlantic, won two conference titles in Conference USA, two bowl games, had a 5-7 season in there, gone to Ole Miss and turned Ole Miss into one of the most dangerous teams in this conference. Honestly, they've gone to a BCS game. This season, they are headed to the college football playoff. He is 116-53. His problem is he doesn't know how to leave gracefully. He gets eyes on you. LSU already has eyes on them. Death Valley is one of the most dangerous places to play. Lane Kiffin is going to win there, but what do I think? I think he wanted to follow in the steps of Nick Saban. He's getting the chance to do that. I don't know about this hire. Will they win? Will LSU Tigers win under Lane Kiffin? Yes. Do I think they have a shot at going to the college football playoff? Yes. I think they could even win a SEC championship under him. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if how the fans are going to handle him. I love LSU, especially the women's gymnastics team, like I do uh, Florida. I I root LSU women's gymnastics above all else, and I like David Cutcliffe heading there. Great move. Ed Orgeron, I like that guy. I really do. Lane Kiffin, I don't know. I I don't know if his mouth will keep him. They know what they're getting at LSU. So, yes, LSU is about to be exciting again. They're not going to have, what Brian Kelly didn't bring to it. They're going to have what they want in a head coach. So, hey, this is going to be a wild ride if you're an LSU fan. Now let's talk Ole Miss Rebels. Ole Miss Rebels, the whole lane train, we don't know what's going on situation. I mean, honestly, Lane Kiffin is gone. Okay, I've already discussed this. Lane Kiffin never leaves anywhere in a good way. But Pete Golding is an odd choice. He was a safety at Delta State University. He then became a graduate assistant, defensive coordinator, defensive backs coach for Tusculum, then Delta State. Southeastern Louisiana, he was defensive coordinator, defensive backs coach for Southern Miss, UTSA defensive coordinator, defensive backs, Alabama under Saban, defensive coach, inside linebacker. Same thing for Ole Miss. So defensive coordinator, but he was basically let go from Alabama. He was arrested in North Fort, Alabama, and charged with DUI. He's got a national championship under his belt at least. I mean, that's okay. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't know if this is a good hire or not. Yeah, he was a uh, Saban guy, just like Kiffin, and he's learned more under Kiffin. But to be honest with you, we saw what Jeremy Pruitt did at Tennessee. I don't know. I I grade this hire as to be determined. Now, if he's able to do something in the college football playoff, okay, cool. If he's able to take this team somewhere, cool. But I'll be honest with you. I don't know where to go on this hire. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. He's had some success as a defensive coordinator, but as the main guy, I don't know yet. Some people are talking highly about it, others are not. I've looked them up. I don't know. I really don't. That's the best I can do. Let's talk UCLA. Now, I will admit, I look at UCLA as a joke. They've been a joke for a while, and the whole Nico situation I found to be an even bigger joke. He needed a place to go. I mean, he's an okay quarterback. He's proven that he's an okay quarterback. Uh, Not what he was hyped up to be. But UCLA had hired Deshaun Foster. And this is not against Deshaun Foster. In all honesty, I think that if you're offered a job as a running backs coach and you get, you're a UCLA alum, you love the school, you get a chance to be the head coach, of course you're going to take it. But UCLA hiring him or even considering him for the head coach position shows how stupid they were. Not because of Deshaun Foster, no, because you didn't put the right people in place to turn him into something more. On top of the fact of you didn't give him the chance to develop what he could have developed into. Deshaun Foster, I think, could have used a few more years development. That's the problem. Well, they're bringing in Bob Chesney now. Bob Chesney knows what he's doing. He turned South Virginia into a fascinating team, won two conference championships, and was very competitive with Assumption. Went to Holy Cross, five conference championships, scary, scary team. And then he goes to James Madison, 9-4 last year, 11-1 this year, outside chance of getting to the college football playoff. 11-1. He took over what Kurt Signetti had done and kept it going. This is somebody who, in all honesty, defensive minded, that knows how to do wacky offenses that win. I I want to see UCLA football now just because of the hire of Bob Chesney. No joke. I want to see what goes on at UCLA because of Bob Chesney now. Doesn't mean I'm going to be rooting for them if they keep Nico Iamaleava as QB1, but I want to see what this team does. I really do. I am fascinated by what Bob Chesney can do at this level of football. He's going into one of the toughest conferences, and man, is this going to be wild. Michigan State, most people aren't paying attention to the fact that Michigan State just fired their head coach and hired a new guy. Jonathan Smith did amazing at Oregon State. He went 34-35, but that's not counting his first year. His second year. He's in his second year. Took them 4-8. This is a school that took until his last 3 years of his 6 years there. He went 10-3 in 2022, 8-4 his last year there, and 2021 went 7-6. Went to 3 bowl games, and they fired him. Now they brought in Pat Fitzgerald, who went 110-101 at Northwestern. Last 2 years were just garbage, but he had multiple winning seasons, went to multiple bowl games, but he was scandal plagued. And Michigan State's doesn't shy away from scandal. I mean, you take a look at Larry Nassar, you take a look at the reason they fired Mel Tucker. Well, Pat Fitzgerald, there was hazing going on in his football program. Don't tell me the head coach did not know that there was hazing going on in his football program. If he did not know, then he shouldn't have been the head football coach. But at the same time, guy did win 2 conference division titles. But I'll be perfectly honest with you. I, this is going from stupid to stupid. He, he may win. He may eventually win at Michigan State, but this is not the year that you should have fired Jonathan Smith. You should have given him some time to get this team going. But hey, this is Michigan State, and they have not been able to get their football program going in a non-convoluted method and so manner and so long that I don't even want to begin. Michigan State is just a joke. The Kentucky Wildcats, I don't even know where to go. Mark Stoops is leaving as the winningest head coach at Kentucky, but at the same time, his winningest head coach, he's also 72-80. Been ranked two times or 2 seasons. He's been ranked. Been to multiple bowl games. He's done some great things. He really has. He's done some great things at Kentucky. But he's also went 5-7 this year, went 4-8 last year, and has regressed for some reason the past couple of years in a very tough SEC. I mean, this year he beat Auburn, Florida, Tennessee Tech, Eastern Michigan, lost to Toledo. Or no, he beat Toledo. I'm sorry. He lost so much that, of course, lost in a close one to Ole Miss. South Carolina game, we're not going to go into. Georgia Tech, yeah, he lost in overtime to Texas, though. Tennessee wasn't really close. And the last two games, Vandy and Louisville. Okay, Vandy you can expect, but Louisville, and they're bringing in Will Stein, who is the offensive coordinator at Oregon. Hey, great pick, except for the fact that he's a Louisville alum. Think about that for a minute. And anytime they're losing, people are going to be going, "You brought in the Louisville quarterback." Don't think that they won't. He was also at UTSA, Lake Travis High School, Texas, Louisville. I mean, you have to wonder, you know, okay, great. He sounds like an interesting choice, but I can imagine there are going to be some Kentucky fans later on down the road if you can't quite get it going, what they're going to say. But in all honesty, Will Stein is a good choice. He really is. And I want to see what he does at Kentucky. I don't like it now that it's been named that Kentucky and Tennessee are permanent rivals. That, as a Tennessee fan, I don't like. But Kentucky is, once you get past him having to rebuild that program, that offense has got to be rebuilt. Once you do all that, hey, let me tell you something. This is going to be a good choice. It really will be. I hate saying that because it's Kentucky and I don't like Kentucky, but it's going to be a good choice. North Texas, losing Eric Morris is a bad thing for North Texas. The man did amazing things at Incarnate Word, did amazing things at North Texas, is a quarterback whisperer. Them losing him, and they will probably lose Drew Mestamaker, and they brought in Neil Brown, who at Troy won a conference championship, won a division championship in there. He went 37-35 at West Virginia, 35-16 at Troy. He's 72-51 overall. He's a winning coach, at least. He was a co-head assistant to the head coach at Texas. Been to Texas Tech, been to Kentucky, UMass, Sacred Heart, Delaware. He knows how to win games. I think it's going to be he's going to have to rebuild that team in some aspects. I don't know what he's going to do. Good coach. North Texas is going to be a winning program under Neil Brown, but it just uninspired. Bad as I hate to say it, it's uninspired. And I'm hoping that maybe it'll be the Troy Brown that shows up and not the West Virginia Brown. I like North Texas. I do. The Mean Green, go Mean Green. I want to see something go well for them. So, this is going to be an interesting hire. That's all I can say. Right now, that's going to be an interesting hire. AC is not the Sun Belt. AC is something different. So, this is going to be wild. I can't speak highly enough of Alex Golish. Him leaving South Florida, I feel bad for them. But they are getting somebody who has got time playing in the pros, Miami Dolphins and Cleveland Browns. He played at Ohio State. Then he moved to becoming a coach at Ohio State. The man has been an offensive quality control assistant, wide receivers coach, offensive coordinator and wide receivers coach, co-offensive coordinator. I mean, this guy knows what he is doing. He's proven it. Him moving to South Florida, this is one of the most highly sought after coaches, and he doesn't go to a Power Four team, which most likely he could have been hired for. No, he goes to South Florida. That tells you how much South Florida is valuing football. They knew Alex Golich would eventually leave. It, no, you knew he was. Brian Hartline is eventually going to leave. But South Florida is putting themselves into a position so that they can keep winning, keep being a power within the American Athletic Conference. I'll be honest with you. I'm loving the choice. I'm going to keep watch of it. I don't know what he's going to do next year, but it's a year after that that I want to see. The Bulls are going to keep winning. This is a great choice. This is a man that knows offense. He just needs to bring in the right person that knows defense. Well, let me tell you something. South Florida, to you fans out there, you folks need to keep rooting for your team. Tampa is about to heat up. So UAB got rid of Trent Dilfer. In all honesty, I was surprised they waited as long as they did to get rid of Dilfer. But they didn't, and they made Alex Mortensen their offensive coordinator. They made him their interim coach. Well, now they've hired Mortensen on full time. He's 40 years old, played for Arkansas, Samford, and then Arkansas again, and then played for the Tennessee Titans. He was a quarterback. Well, he then went to become the New Mexico Highland Cowboys quarterbacks coach, an AC at St. Louis Rams, graduate assistant at Alabama under Saban, an analyst at Alabama, wide receivers coach for the Birmingham Iron. It's a AAF, Alliance of American Football Team. Went back to being an analyst at under Saban, then became the offensive coordinator at UAB. So I'm interested in seeing what this guy can do on his own. I would say it will take at least a year to clear out all the Dilfer stuff. I don't think he wants Kitna to be the head coach or the QB1. I don't blame him. Not with that guy's record, literally his record. Um, and I'm not talking about on the playing field either. This guy is, you know, as bad as I hate to say it, got to be better than Dilfer. But you can't tell. And Trent Dilfer had a Lane Kiffin's mouth, but a didn't have anywhere near the coaching talent. And I haven't heard much from Alex Mortensen, so that's an improvement all to itself. But yeah, UAB's got a head coach now. Oregon State brought in Trent Bray to be their head coach. This is he went 5-14 while at his time or while at Oregon State. I mean, he's a defensive minded person, but I'll be perfectly honest with you. He didn't have much time as defensive coordinator. He was a linebackers coach, graduate assistant. Yeah, he was at several good programs. He's an Oregon State alum. He was a linebacker there, but I'm looking at his resume, I'm looking at everything, and I'm thinking, probably not the person that you should have brought in, but I guess they didn't go looking that hard. Plus, it's Oregon State. They were leave the pack had just broken up. They don't have anybody right now. They're going to have to deal with. They've got a problem when it comes to their football program. The best thing at Oregon State is their women's gymnastics team, but Oregon State, I don't know what they're going to do. And you're now looking at the best or the only wins they could get was Lafayette, which is an FCS school, and they beat Washington State. And then Washington State beat them. It's yeah. It's a dumpster fire program right this minute, and it's got to be fixed. And so they're going to have to bring in somebody that can do that. And I don't know if they can do that this year. They picked the wrong year to fire a head coach. Okay, let's go with Penn State on this one. Now, From what I am hearing from folks, and I am listening around to different folks on this whole Penn State debacle, this dumpster fire situation, when they got rid of James Franklin, they really upset Jimmy Sexton. And Jimmy Sexton has been taking his aggression out on Penn State. Every time that a job comes open, he makes sure that somebody, even if they're not rep by him, gets the job, especially if this person is sought after by Penn State. Or if Penn State's going after somebody that's currently got a job, then he goes to that school or goes to their, if he's representing them, or if he's not, then he goes to their agent to have them go to the school and sweeten the deal for the person that's at that school. Yeah, it's kind of hilarious. Yeah, Penn State was is a dumpster fire because of all this. I like me some Penn State. I do. I've liked Penn State for decades. I wouldn't say they're. I don't know if they're in my top 10. They probably would be considered in my top 10 schools that I like. But in all honesty, that athletic director has just messed up big time. That's the only way to consider it. He's messed up big time. And he's got to figure out how to fix the situation. And in all honesty, I don't think he can. I think Penn State's going to be a football bat among the college football teams. I really do. Until they somehow get on their knees and apologize to Jimmy Sexton, I honestly believe that they are in a bad spot. And it doesn't look like it's getting any better. The whole Kalani Satake thing with Crumble Cookies stepping in and the Mormon Avengers, that was hilarious. But, you know, it kind of sucks the Penn as somebody that's rooted for Penn State over the years. The California Golden Bears has have fired Justin Wilcox. Here's a guy that has taken them to uh four different bowl games. They went he got fired after they went 6-5. They eventually went 7-5. They're going to another bowl game. He got them to that point. Yes, they lost to Virginia Tech in overtime. That was sad. But they beat Louisville in overtime, beat SMU. This team was on the upswing finally. They're doing average. You know, it's Cal. They're a basketball school. I mean, maybe because of the money, they're in the ACC. Seriously, you're worried about this is just stupid. Um, yeah, he had losing records in the conference, but the man, it's Cal. What are you going to do now? I mean, seriously, who's Cal going to hire? They're going to have to find some group of five coach that's worth something, or some offensive or defensive coordinator. I don't know. I mean, the resume for Wilcox, he was a defensive back at Oregon, defensive coordinator at Washington, Tennessee, Boise, USC, Wisconsin, defensive minded coach. Okay, you picked the entirely wrong year to do this. This just shows how inept that University of California is at football. It really does. Justin Wilcox probably should have stayed there. UConn probably had the worst situation happen to it of any of them. Here's somebody who doesn't stand a chance of winning anything when it comes to football other than games. They just, Jim Mora leaving, they lost in overtime to Syracuse and Delaware. and it to Rice. You losing to Rice is interesting, but they beat Florida Atlantic, Duke, Air Force, UAB, Boston College, Florida International, Buffalo, Ball State, Central Connecticut. They went 9-3. Not even a talk of them getting ranked. They're not even okay. They had a good coach. Now they don't. They don't have a conference, so they don't have a conference standing up for them. Jim Moore is 73-53 as a head coach. He went 46-30 at UCLA. Then he turned around the UConn program into something worthwhile. Jim Moore, I got to give him credit. Well, Jim Mora is no longer there. He's now headed to Colorado State. Colorado State needs turned around. This is bad for UConn. Not like I care about UConn. I'll admit it. I'm a Lady Balls fanatic. I grew up in Tennessee. I'm a Tennessee redneck, and so I might be a little biased in saying, ha ha. Um, but seriously, UConn is just bad situation. You can't do anything about it. So whoever they get as their head coach is going to be there for a couple of years and is probably not going to do much. Memphis Tigers, I actually like their fan base. I really do. And Brian Silverfield leaving Memphis may actually have been a good thing. I know some folks are going to go, what do you mean that's a good thing? He's a winning coach. He went 8-4 this season. I don't know. I mean, he's been a good coach at Memphis. I will give him that. At Memphis, he has been a good coach, has won multiple real world situation wins. But in all honesty, you don't. There was some talk that they were upset with him over losing to UAB. Then he lost three straight at the end. But in all honesty, I think he got so hyped up for the South Florida game that him and the team just couldn't come back from it. So it would have been nice for Memphis if he had stayed. I think he would have tried to make up for it. But now he's gone, and Memphis is going to have to deal with the fact that they don't have anybody who they can really look to. They're going to have to push hard. Maybe they need to get a hold of Jimmy Sexton and go, hey, who you got that was considering going to Penn State? Yep, one of them situations. I like Memphis. I do. I want to see them succeed. I feel bad for them right now, though. Tulane Green Wave are another team that got messed up because too many coaches are needed. Maybe they'll hire internally. I don't know. John Summerall had a really good coaching staff there. They're in their second AAC conference championship. They're yet again in the talks to get into college football playoffs. This is a great team. This is a great program. John Summerall just carried along a tradition. I feel bad for them. I really do. They're messed up because they're going to have to find somebody that can carry on the tradition, and I don't know who that's going to be. But I like Tulane. I do. I really do like Tulane. But at this point, they're going to have to go with whoever and maybe come up with a chance to get a better coach in a few years. That's the problem right now that Tulane's got. Maybe they'll find a surprise. Maybe Jimmy Sexton will help them. I don't know. But, that's what's going on with college football right now. James Madison University has hired Billy Napier to replace Bob Chesney. I don't know if this is an inspired choice or not. I think it could be. Bob Chesney, everything that I've heard about this man, he is amazing. He's a Kurt Signetti type guy in a lot of ways. And Bob Chesney has got his chance now that he's headed to UCLA. So they had to bring in somebody, and they were looking around at the lack of people to hire. And they went, well, why don't we consider Sunbelt Billy? The man that was the Louisiana Raging Cajun head coach, went 40-12 while he was there, won the West all 4 years he was there at Louisiana, won two conference championships while he was at Louisiana. He went 12-1 year, went 10-1 another year, 11-3, and 7-7. Sun Belt Billy knew what he was doing at Louisiana. So it could be an inspired choice. Could also be the right kind of person to not worry about getting rid of himself. I'm telling you something. This is an interesting choice. It really is. And I have to give it to JMU. They were looking around at a garbage situation. And they went, there's Sunbelt Billy. And Jimmy Sexton probably stepped in and said, "Hey, let's bring him in." So yeah, let's. I'm gonna be guarded about this, but I think it was a good choice right now. But we'll see if he can maintain what he did at Louisiana, not what he did at Florida. Now, number 24, the last one, is Coastal Carolina. They self inflicted a wound onto themselves by getting rid of Tim Beck. Now, Tim Beck, okay, here's a man that was offensive coordinator or QB's coach. He was an offensive minded man, but they brought him in. Texas had said they were going to not have him as offensive coordinator. Uh, he was the co-offensive coordinator for Ohio State. He was at Nebraska. Then he shows up and he went 8-5 his first season at Coastal. Well, he followed that up by having two 6-6 regular seasons, 6-7 last year with the loss at Myrtle Beach Bowl. Um, they lost to UTSA, and this year they're going to a bowl game. But in all honesty, Coastal should have waited a year. I mean, this year they beat Charleston Southern, South Alabama, Old Dominion was a loss, a nasty one, as was the loss to East Carolina. The loss to Virginia was a nasty one. They beat UL Monroe. They lost, or they won to App State in a close one. They won against Marshall, beat Georgia State, then lost to Georgia Southern in a close one. Of course, they lost to South Carolina, and then they lost to James Madison. Of course, they lost to James Madison this year. This has been an up and down year. They've played three different quarterbacks: Morse, Hudson, and Collier. I mean, when you're bouncing around your quarterbacks, their rushing has been pathetic, except for when Collier was rushing. Nicely also added in a good one, but he didn't always stay that way. I mean, seriously, I'm looking at this and I'm going, you guys just had a season, but you still got to a bowl game. Why are you going to self-inflict a wound when you know the coaching carousel is as bad as it is? Seriously, at this point, unless you've got somebody you can name right away as soon as you get rid of one, I don't know what to tell you about Coastal. These 24 teams have either had to deal with some insanity or they've self-inflicted them upon themselves something that nobody would should want for their football team. Penn State, making Jimmy Sexton mad was just bad. LSU already knew what they were doing. They thought, and they got what they wanted. JMU Tulane, Memphis, South Florida. Schools like that weren't expecting this, but they should have. But at the same time, who was going to expect this massive of a coaching carousel? So those schools in the AAC, Eric Morris going to Oklahoma State, at least they got somebody that they wanted. South Florida has got lucky, but now Memphis and Tulane are having to do a search. UAB at least, went, okay, we're not going, we don't have that much to look forward to. We might as well keep the guy that we've got. Colorado State got rid of their coach early enough that they weren't expecting any kind of craziness, and hey, they actually got lucky. Jim Moore's a decent coach. Michigan State, I don't know. I don't even know where to begin with Michigan State. And Coastal Carolina, that one was just that one's just nuts. But this is what you've got now. And college football is going to be a wild ride next year. I want to see what Virginia Tech does. In all honesty, I want to see what UCLA does. LSU even, because, well, I'm an SEC fan among other things, and Kent State, I covered them at the beginning. They were just, doing what they needed to do. But most schools got lucky. But Penn State, at the end of the day, I would say Penn State and Coastal, those two teams inflicted upon themselves something that they should never have inflicted upon themselves, and they did. And now they're dealing with it. Cal, well, I don't know what Cal's doing. I think Cal, the Golden Bears, they're just not a football school. I mean, they have been a couple of times, but I don't know what they're doing. But hey, I thought I'd bring all this craziness to your attention so you can say you heard it all in one place and that you know what's going to happen next year. This has been Paul with Redneck Sports. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. I hope that you liked the video. I really do. Hit like and subscribe for me because I'm going to come out with far more videos and you get all kinds of chance. Also, don't forget, my link tree is down below. You can get to my Patreon that way or go to my other stuff. This has been Paul. Have a good day.